Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay at home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight. Got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet. Cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Hope you've had a great week. We are looking forward to talking with you and with our guest today. It's just going to be a fun conversation that's going to kick off what will be an awesome month of Movember.
Oh, yeah.
I think most people know what Movember is, but Danny, can you tell us a little bit about it? Do you know anything? Are you going to shave?
No, I'm not going to shave. All right. But that is the standard thing, is because Movember is about the mustache. Also, changing the face of men's health was their slogan for a long time. And basically, it's a very big organization. It's been going since 2003.
Yeah.
And they are all in it for men's mental health, prostate cancer, and testicular cancer. One of their website statements is, we exist to help men live happier, healthier, longer lives. And we'll learn more from Brian, I'm sure, but it came about because of just the fact that people don't talk about prostate cancer or testicular cancer. Men will not, even check themselves and things like that. Like, yeah, you need to check that actually the website has some great stuff about checking your nuts and the nuts and bolts of checking your nuts.
I just immediately think when you say check yourself, I immediately get wreck yourself. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. It works.
Yeah, sure. That's hilarious, is what that is. But yeah,
I can't
Movember
help
is
it.
a great well, it's a dad thing. You fully stepped into your dad role. You weren't actually dancing, but I think if you were standing up, you would have done something. You did move your arms a good bit. So yeah, right. That's how we
Yep.
do.
Stay
Welcome to the
all
dad
right.
dance.
You stay all right here in the ones
Stay
and
right. This
twos.
is where you live. This is where you live.
This is where
Stay
you
right
live.
here. Don't go anywhere else.
Will Smith. This is where you
Yeah.
live.
Yeah, Hitch. That is a fantastic movie.
Yeah, definitely, man. So it's gonna be just a good conversation with Brian, and he's been to Home Dad Con before, and he's mental health is definitely something that we talk about on the show a lot. And we also talk about physical health. I think that I feel like in a lot of ways, this organization is much healthier than it's been in past years, just from a movement standpoint and just from a
Mm-hmm.
diversity standpoint. And just we've got, we got the horizon in front of us and we're running towards it in a very positive way. So it's exciting from that. I think it's really cool that we've got guys like Kyle Denny and Matt Strain and a bunch of other guys I can't really at the moment name off. Joe Saladino and Jeremy Haston, guys like that are showing like, hey, we're trying to get out there and move and do different things. And that's actually another big part of Movember. That's one of the things I really like about Movember is that they changed it up a few years back. The whole like it's not just about the shaving part anymore,
Yes.
because for some of us, our wives would slap us silly if we
Yeah.
shaved, and so yeah, I
I,
just don't need
I,
that.
yeah, I look like a turtle with his shell ripped off. It is the worst. It is the worst. And I really don't want to have a goatee and a mustache, and I can't grow a beard. It's the thinnest, finest hair you've ever seen, and it looks awful. It just looks ridiculous. But I don't really like just the goatee, because I don't know, it's just kind of cliche or stereotypical for who I am. And I'm like, I would like to shave that off or do something different, but there's nothing else that I can pull off in any way whatsoever. The beard is just ridiculous, but shaving it off is awful. And Marnie pretty much said, no, we're not doing that again. You choose something else. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and so what I was alluding to is the fact that you can actually do the Move Movember side of things, which is basically a pledge to, put in 60 miles during the month of Movember for the basically 60 men that would unfortunately be lost to suicide. And
Yeah. Every hour.
every hour. Yeah. That's an epidemic, man. That really is. And,
Hmm.
we hope, we strive to help bring awareness and the hope that guys who feel like they have no hope would be able to, find it uh,
Hmm.
through, whatever means, online or in person. But it's one of the reasons why we've built our community up the way we have, and
Hmm.
try to be there for as many guys as we can. So, but yeah, I'm definitely doing the move portion of things.
Hmm.
I usually try to run 60 miles, which it's always fun to do. In years past too, I've actually had competitions with some of the guys to see who can do it the fastest. That's been fun. I've done that. Me and Quetzal Torres and Ed Lavazio have all went up against each other, and
Hmm.
that's just stuff like that. I mean, it's just fun. Like it's a great way to push each other and keep each other accountable at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I'm doing the same 60 for 60 and mhm. All right. Yeah, but and I've been working up towards I'm doing the couch to 5K and I've been working up to it. But the week of the convention, I didn't do anything other than the convention. And that was enough. I got a lot of steps in. I got a lot of heart rate up. I did my cardio even. And then the week after, I was just toast. I was just kind of tired and just dragging the whole week. And I didn't work out the Monday after, and I worked out or went to work out the other, Tuesday through Friday, and I didn't get a single workout finished that whole week. I mean, I
Mm,
couldn't get my run in. I got about 5-10 minutes into my it's really a hit. It's not a run, but it's walking and then running. And I'm like, oh, I can't. I'm dragging, and my water was bad. I didn't have enough hydration or whatever. And I'm just sucking the whole week, and I'm like, okay, all right, this week we're doing better. This week we're doing better. And Monday the kids are out of school, and things all fell apart. Marnie was out of town, so things just exploded. And then yesterday finally got everybody back in school, and again things exploded. It's just like, come on, what are we doing here?
right.
So today though, today I'm going to go and I'm going to get 2 miles in. I
There you
period.
go.
I don't care if I just have to crawl my way through it. I'm doing 2 miles, which isn't that hard.
Yeah.
I can do 2 miles, but it's just been picking myself up, I guess.
As I say, I think this past weekend I literally just took my dog for a walk to just get out and clear my head, and did 2 miles.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was just walking around talking to my mom and dad on the phone and just going over all the things that, just kind of are going on in life.
Hmm.
And basically, I looked down at my watch and I was like, oh, shoot, like I'm already like a mile and a half in already. I might as well just push for two. Like,
Nice.
it's all
Yeah.
good. And the dog was enjoying it. So I actually have a long leash I just put around her or put around me like a belt. And then I
Hmm.
don't have to hold it. And so there's just a lot more, you know,
Yeah. She
freeing. She's
needs
got a
to
lot more
run.
freedom.
Yeah.
She just likes to walk and move around. She's actually doing really well at that. So, especially staying like on the sidewalk and not jerking around everywhere. So,
Awesome.
um, yeah, so it's nice to not when she pulls, like have it pull me. She knows when she pulls it, like if she moves me, like she's gonna hear words. So,
Hmm.
she's been pretty good at about not having that happen. But yeah, I mean it's funny. A lot of people are like, oh, 2 miles or even 3 miles. Like that seems like a lot. And honestly, like you get out and if you're like listening to music or a podcast, or
Right.
maybe that's the time that you call somebody and talk to them. Like,
Hmm.
um, that's a great way to sort of like get your mind off of a distance.
Hmm.
Honestly, I find that, so I bought a pair of these, shock, earbone,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I don't know, you call them headphones or whatever, but, they're
Bone
awesome because
induction.
bone induction, yeah. So they're not in your ear, and you can hear the things around you, but at the same time, you can also hear clearly like the music or people you're
Hmm.
talking to, and they can't hear. Like that's the best part. They can't hear what's
Right.
going on around. Like I'll walk by a busy street, the people I'm talking to on the phone, they have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah. And nobody around you can hear your music. And I literally had to go up
Yeah,
because when I got them the first time, I went to Marnie. I'm like, can you hear this? And she's like, I can't hear anything. I'm like, you can't hear this? Are you sure you can't? And she's like, no, I can't hear any. And she get right up beside me. And it's because it's not sound like that. It's vibration into your bones. So way,
yeah,
way cooler. I love it. I love living in the future.
yeah. Right. Exactly. Um,
So
so
anything
yeah,
else exciting going on for you this week?
well, I had my annual checkup yesterday, and so that
Hmm.
kind of falls in line with what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah.
Just checking up about my medications for anxiety,
Hmm.
and just talking with the doctor about just sort of like the levels of just depression and just other mental health things, and then also too like physical health stuff. How's my cholesterol, how's my glucose, with everything going on with what we're learning about Hezekiah. Like, I was
Hmm.
like, can we just get a full like renal lab testing where they just check everything and see how things are? And so, just basically just being open and honest and getting all the information because, um, you know, along with everything going on with him, you know, and then hearing like I don't know if I told you this or not, but I had a good friend that I went to high school with, so he's my age. He died of a stroke this
Mm.
past week.
Oh.
He died from the complications of it, but still, it's like super healthy guy, amazing dad. He has had three kids, and it's just heartbreaking. And at the same time, too, it's like this is a common like story of guys who maybe they didn't go get checked out, or maybe they didn't, be completely forward with what's going on with them, and so things didn't get checked out, and then something happens, and it's a tragic, deal of not sharing enough with your doctors type of thing.
Hmm.
And so
Yeah.
I've learned over the past few years to just get it all out there because if you don't say it, they can't help you.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. And it's such a simple thing when you're doing it. But for whatever reason, all those years when we just either weren't told or were told not to talk about it or whatever. And then I'm like, I go to my doctor, I'm gonna tell him everything. I
Yeah.
mean, everything is not going to get me put in a padded room, I should say. Anything like that, I'm going to keep to myself. But no, I would tell him that too, because he knows, if I needed something like that, that'd be the best thing for me. And you have to
Yeah.
trust your doctor to do these things. And that's difficult for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I think we're moving into a new generation with millennials and then with Gen Z who are really understanding of your health is important, including your testicular health and your prostate health and your mental health.
Yep.
So put these things out there where we can talk about them and admit that they exist, right?
Yeah. No, definitely. So we'll stop here. We'll put a pause on things. We're gonna have a little commercial break, and then we'll have Brian Heilman on from Movember to talk more about kind of what's coming up and see what's going on in his life. So be right back.
All right.
Become a member of the National At Home Dad Network, an organization focused on providing advocacy, community, education, and support, connecting with households where dad is the primary caregiver of the children. We do this through our webinar and podcast series, mental health support groups, regular online social events, as well as our annual convention. The National At Home Dad Network is a 100% volunteer organization. Without the generous support of its members and the community around it, we would not be able to continue the work that we do. Becoming a member gives you access to past convention speaker presentations, the ability to vote for board members annually, and ensures that the organization's fees and bills are in positive standing. Oh yeah, it should not go unmentioned that there is some cool swag headed your way if you decide to become a member. For only $35 a year, your membership provides you with the exclusive content only we can generate, and you'll be supporting an organization that benefits families all around the country and world. By advocating for them, offering them community, providing education and guidance, and supporting them to grow in their parenthood journey. And one last thing, if you contribute $500 or more, you will become a lifetime member. Not only will you receive everything already mentioned, but also a certificate recognizing your status and an exclusive National At Home Dad Network challenge coin with our trademark logo, Dads Don't Babysit. So, what are you waiting for? Become a member today. All right, and we are back, and we have our guest with us, Brian Heilman from Movember. And he's been around the organization for a little while. And if you've gone to a Home Dad Con in Portland or in Minneapolis, you probably bumped into him because he was a speaker at both of those places. But Brian, how you doing, man? Happy to have you on the show.
Guys, I'm doing great. I was just, sharing with Brock and Danny before we hit record just how much I adore this organization. And I've been a lurker in the Facebook group for many, many years, and I've always described it as kind of the last pure place on the internet. It's just, so exciting to be able to have kind of been on the periphery of the organization for so long, really admiring everything you guys do down from the individual dad and just the day-to-day work of at-home care work all the way up to the national organizing of the organization. So it's cool to be here and to stay connected in my new job.
Yeah, it is an honor for us too, because you have done a lot of work for fatherhood, both through Equimundo and through Movember, and it's amazing to see, honestly, because I remember from Portland, and you mentioned that it was kind of your first time doing that type of thing,
Yeah.
and I couldn't tell. I remember specifically going, "Wow, this guy's got it. He's really talking about this stuff." And to
Yeah.
see you return, I'm like, "Oh yeah, 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 I know this guy. Well, I know
Yeah.
you know me for sure." But just to see the things that you've done for fatherhood has really, really been impressive too. So I think this is a great, you know, partnership, I guess, where we get together and like, yeah,
Totally.
we're still amplifying the other person's signal. So we
Yeah.
love
Totally.
having you on the show.
So I think, yeah, I mean, I was in Portland as a plenary speaker after we had recently published the first ever State of America's Fathers report. And I was
Hmm.
also a co-author of a handful of different editions of the State of the World's Fathers. So it's kind of on the research side, heavily like doing the surveys, all around the United States, but also in other countries overseas and trying to understand, what is driving a change in the way that guys want to engage in care work in their families? What are the individual experiences, but also the barriers and stuff that needs to change in workplaces and in policy and whatever. And I was reflecting to these guys that I think, back in Portland, it was too much of like a data dump and just endless amounts of bar charts. And I've learned from that experience as I go on to have a little bit more approachable way of doing
Yeah.
things. But I really adore this organization, and I'll probably say that over and over in this in this
Well,
chat.
and you
So
have a background too, as for home dad life, and I think that
Hmm.
just the fact that you have that, and I'm kind of curious because I mean, like I don't know a whole lot about your backstory, but like what was life like before kind of moving into that realm of Ecomundo and now Movember? Like what was how long of a time were you doing the home dad thing, and what kind of changed and moved you into where you are now?
well, that's the thing, Brock, is like I had the academic, professional, intellectual, uh, personal values interest in everything that you guys were doing, but I became a dad only 2 months ago. So this is the big transition for me. I grew up in Wisconsin. I'm, the first generation of a working class family to go to college. And then, like I was the adventurous one of the kids, the eldest grandson who, I lived for a couple years in India and I was just like absorbing information and exploring the world. And I had, amazing educational opportunities that my parents and grandparents and so on didn't. And I think it's just so fortunate looking back on that family history to now be able to have a career where I'm doing, kind of like intellectual work that I really care about as a profession. I take that seriously, I guess, kind of like carrying forward the family legacy. And
Hmm.
I'm also the product of
Yeah.
the care that I received within my family. And I have a great relationship with my dad, with my grandpa. I have still two, I'm 41 right now, and I still have three grandparents alive, and I have a really, really close
Wow.
relationship with
Yeah.
my grandmas. But I think it might be fair to observe in my family that the caregiving responsibility was primarily on women. And growing up in the 90s when I was a high school football player and whatever, and I was like certainly subject to a lot of those messages around masculinity and tough it out and walk it off and everything. And at
Hmm.
a certain
Yeah.
point, over the journey that our society has gone in the past, like 30 years, I just feel lucky to be able to be a part of really exploding the notion of what it means to be a good man. There's many, many different ways to do that. There are ways that involve toughness and self-reliance and whatever, but it's not so much only the family ATM and breadwinner and whatever anymore. Like just the way that guys are embracing the father
Yeah.
role it
Yeah.
feels so just fulfilling to help lift up those stories through research and in some of the, halls of policymakers and whatever that I get to access.
So if I if I heard you right, you just became a dad 2 months ago.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
I know
I
that
mean,
you've been in this realm for a while, so I was just like
like, don't kick
I
me
just
off the
assumed.
Facebook group. I was there before I had a kid. I'm
Mhm.
sorry. Like I had a special
Yeah, yeah,
exemption as a
yeah, yeah.
plenary speaker from the conference.
Oh no, no, it's fine. You know, it's always
Yeah,
kind of nice to be that fly on the wall. You can see everything that's going on, and I mean, honestly, like it's beneficial in that way to be able to do that.
So tell us about your kid.
totally. So
Yeah.
that's the amazing thing, right? So our daughter Iman was born 2 months ago, August 28th. My wife did so amazing. Like, it was a really rough pregnancy, but just like, wow,
Oh,
the power in that room of labor and just seeing her completely rise to the occasion. I was just so proud of my wife on top of everything. But cool, obviously,
yeah,
to be there. And now, like, our lives are different. We have this new best friend for life that we're hanging out with
yeah,
constantly. And, it is going to be an interesting kind of path for me to figure out about my work care life. Like, I work full time
hmm
from home. I'm here with the baby. My wife is also on maternity leave at the moment, but she has to go back to work in person. And, we're figuring out exactly how that's going to work. I don't want to, like, I don't know, have stolen valor about an at home dad status or something here, but like, I expect to be
no.
home with the baby pretty much every day,
Mhm.
in the coming several months. But
We absolutely embrace work from home
Heck
yeah,
yeah.
dads. I want to make that
yeah,
I'm a
clear.
work from home dad.
That's
sweet,
yeah.
I mean,
So
my kids are
you're in
older.
good
I get
company.
to drop them off at school for, the
nice,
day,
yeah,
but and so I have this break where, I get to do things like this, or I go to the
hmm
brewery and deal with events, but 2 o'clock rolls around, I'm back in the car headed towards school
right,
to pick
right,
the kids up, and then
yeah,
I don't get to touch my work
yeah.
again until usually after dinner time.
Right. For me, it's the monitor is sitting here next to me, and when I hear the little squawk of a baby waking up, then it's like, all right, whether the email's sent or not, I'm back in the other room. Yeah,
Yep,
Right. Yeah.
exactly.
Step out of it for a
but
minute.
I mean,
We all understand that.
I think that's the thing too with a lot of dads. You talk to them, like, some of them don't even realize that that's something that they can claim as being like an at-home working parent type of thing. Like,
yeah,
it's and also too that that's a badge of honor. Like you are doing this, and it's
yeah,
necessary for your family, and if it works, it works. Don't worry
yeah,
about what other people might think about it or anything like that, because what's best for your family is the right thing. It doesn't
totally.
matter what anybody else says.
hmm
And that's, I feel like, the conversation that happens a lot when people are like, "Oh, it must be so nice," or whatever else. And it's like, no, that's not, like, it is nice. Don't get me wrong, it is nice, but like Danny and I have said, we don't get a clock out,
It's nice
and
and it's work. Mm.
it's you still have to
Yeah.
balance it out, especially when you're working and you got the kids. Like, it's always interesting. So yeah, man, it's all good. You're part of the club.
Yeah, I feel so honored, honestly.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm really well, on top of just like being
Nope.
so excited to be, I mean, can you imagine? I've been researching this, writing about this. All these reports start with like fatherhood is the most beautiful expression of this and that, but like, I've never had
Yeah.
access to it. And so it's interesting to sometimes I kind of think while I'm actually changing diapers or feeding her or hanging out with the baby or whatever, I'm kind of like simultaneously in my researcher mind, like watching myself, researching myself, do the thing that I had been.
hmm
So kind of the researcher mind,
Yeah.
and then now like living the dad life side of it is fun.
And the difference too between doing a study of something and then that
Yeah.
experience of it. I mean, whatever it might be, because we've had people that want to like we've had someone that was a sleep counselor for
Mm.
newborn
Hmm.
children, and they were, everything was great, sounded good, and then they had a baby and they
Yeah.
shifted.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff that they've been talking about, I I'm going to change the way I say
Yeah.
this, because this isn't actually, because the facts and the information, especially because it's your child and the buttons your child can push, both positive and negative,
Yeah.
where it just changes how much your response is. Whether it's like how much love you feel, and you couldn't imagine how much love you could feel for another
Hmm.
person,
Yeah.
or how much anger, maybe I don't want to put the right word, but just like
Totally.
frustration that you could feel for another
Yeah,
person. It's like, oh
yeah,
my God, why are you saying this?
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
spending, and I love too that you said we have a lifelong best friend. And you said that when you're
yeah,
talking about your daughter, and that's
yeah.
wonderful. And that's wonderful. And I would like to talk to you again in about 12
Yeah.
months.
See if she,
Just
right, I know. She's got to have a role to
it's
play in
going to be
whether
great.
we remain best friends. Yeah.
It's going to be great. It will be an adventure, but yeah, but it's true. I mean, even like my 15-year-old, sweet, wonderful little Zen baby would come over and take my hand and lead me to his crib so I could put him down for
Oh, come
naps.
on.
Never argued, so compassionate. I was sick. We were all sick, and I'm laying on the couch with his little sister, and he brought me a blanket and put it over me, and he was only like
You are
7,
setting
right?
him
And
up
I'm
for
like,
the
Oh,
trap
I'm
of
like,
the whole
I'm like,
thing right
this
now.
is
come on.
this is the sweetest baby
Honestly.
ever. And then at 15, I told him something, and I said, this happened. I apologize. I didn't get this gift card for you like I said I would, but I will go get it tomorrow. I can give you cash right now because he built shelves for me and
Uh,
yada yada. And whatever you want me to do. And he responded, kiss my
okay.
ass. And I went,
Yeah.
what? It's just, it was so funny, but it was just a thing, and he's learning to be an adult, and it is kind of difficult to get through those, boys or girls, but they still know that you are their best friend.
Yeah.
They still know that you love them. And that's really what it is, because just like when they're 2 and 3 and they're trying to push against you and break you and see, you're supposed to be a solid person. Are you actually a solid person? And they get back to that thing when they start to feel like being an adult and the
Hmm.
hormones kick in, and they're like, are you really going to still love me? What if I do this?
Yeah,
What if I do
exactly.
that?
Exactly.
And it's
Hmm.
wonderful. And I'm only making it a joke about,
No,
12
I
years from
feel
now,
like hopefully I'm going in eyes wide open
it'll be a
about
little
what,
rough.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
adolescence and teenagerdom is going to be like.
Hmm.
Hey, my
I think
nine-year
you'll be
old, we
fine,
still get along
honestly.
really well for the most part, so I'm okay with that. But we haven't hit those
Nice.
Hmm.
teenage years, so who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
We'll
coming.
see.
They're
And
coming. Danny's just
that's
waiting.
Hezekiah.
He's like, let's see.
No,
But
no.
the
I do.
No,
Go
the
ahead.
point that
Go
you're kind of landing on is just like whether they're acting out, whether they're showing you affection, just like you. And I don't want to go into the trope either of like the dad needs to be the rock or whatever, but like if you're providing like attentive, supportive care, like safe environment, that's
hmm
the key thing. And even with like a newborn stage, man, you better believe, given the like research background that I have, I'm reading every book. I'm trying to get all the data on like how much should she eat per hour and sleep and this and this and this. But
Yeah.
like when you
Yeah.
get to the end of all of those analyses, it's ultimately just like, dude, whether she goes to daycare, whether you stay at home, whether she feeds this, like just parental like support and care and attention is the thing that matters.
hmm
And so
Definitely.
a
Yeah.
big step for me was to like chill on tracking the diapers and poops and like number of ounces per hour and whatever and just like delete the tracking app and just like all
Yes.
right, let's just hang with her, be in the moment. We're going to get her what she needs.
hmm
And I've really felt, better from that point.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's
Yeah.
great, really. And that attention, I mean, they of course they benefit
Yeah.
from it. And you are
Yeah.
doing the right things, even if you are tracking everything, it seems unnecessary, but that's
Yeah.
still you're paying attention to it. And that again is a sign, in my opinion, of a good parent,
Yeah.
of a good dad. You are that, and throughout their lives, you become that strong, safe foundation, right? Even my 18-year-old, he's in college now, but he knows I'm
Yeah.
here. Our house is here. He can come back at any
Yeah.
time if things get rough, but it's kind of like you tell your kid, all right, I'm at the playground. I'm right
Right.
here. You want to go play on the slides or whatever. Don't climb on top of the monkey bars. You got to go on, you're going to swing under them. That's what they're for. And they'll climb on top
Yeah.
of them. You're like, you could fall from there. You could get hurt. And you just watch
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a dad thing, I think, for a lot of times. And they end up falling or getting hurt, but then you're there to take care of them. Like, yeah, okay, so now what did we learn? Life is dangerous. And I'm telling you those dangers out in the world. I'm going to sit here and let you explore that,
Mm-hmm.
let you go out and get a little dirty, get a little bruised, maybe fall down a couple
Mm-hmm.
times. And it's that continuing thing, even when they're adults, that you're still telling them, you may not want to, you may want to lock your door, or you may want to don't leave your laptop in the car, things like that, that as they
Yeah.
get older and they still know that you're there,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And I think that's really a foundation that you're setting it seems like,
Totally.
even right
Yeah,
now.
I
So
hope
that's
so. It's
wonderful.
early
Right.
days.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, like back to the idea also of like having studied something before actually doing it. It's just so different to kind of like run the numbers and have a rational analysis of something like work-life balance versus then like being in the moment and feeling what it feels like to
Hmm.
want to be with her all the
Yeah.
time, but also like not hate my job and want, want to like contribute meaningfully. Just like the feeling of it is different, or even like the way that parenthood or like care work research happens where it's always about like tallying up who's doing how many hours of which particular style of care task or something. Like now that I'm in that, it just feels so silly. Like I couldn't tally up the minutes, hours of bottle washing or diaper changing or whatever. It's just like
Right.
you
Right.
feel that you have a co-equal parenting relationship when you feel it,
Yeah.
and the hours thing is a little silly. So,
I was,
like,
yeah. I always find it
sorry.
interesting when you see the statistics on things. You're like, man, I don't even know. Is that like the hours? Does that match up? I feel like it's just ongoing. Like it's just all the time.
Well, and
So
to Danny's point, how do you add up hours of just being safe, emotional support person? You know what I mean? Like, that's the
yeah,
most important
I
thing,
do.
and that is 24 hours a day, right?
yeah. Well,
Right.
and I think that,
Right.
this all ties into kind of the bigger picture of what, we brought you on the show for is just
Sure.
to kind of talk about like just the changing face of men's health because, you know, we're a part of an organization with the National At-Home Dad Network that's changing the face of just men or dads being, fathers that are involved and like not having that be such a trope to like, oh, like
Yeah.
this
Gender
is so
equity and
great da 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 and it's like no like this is part of being a parent and
Yeah.
there's nothing that should be odd about it and the same thing goes with men's health like it should not be
Right.
odd to be able to share with your healthcare provider or even with a group of guys like what is going on in your life
Yep.
so that you have that support because seen it, I've experienced it, and it's just when you have that isolation or you
Hmm.
don't feel like you can talk to somebody, it is so detrimental. And I always tell folks, it's like, silence is it's a killer. And
Hmm.
if you're not willing to share what's going on, like it will just eat at you. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love the fact that, you know, when I didn't know really anything about Movember until I got involved with Dad 2.0 Summit and
Oh,
City
cool.
Dads group and
Nice.
jumped into that, back in like 2018, I think was my first year doing Movember. I actually shaved. My wife hated me for it. Uh, I have video actually. I did a live, I think the second year I did a live with like a couple of like the main people from Movember because they did like a thing with Dad 2 to kick it off, and I
Cool.
shaved live on like a
Yeah, the
Facebook
shave
live.
down. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And my wife is standing in the doorway, like, no, like she's like, I protest this, right? The whole thing, like the whole time she's in the background yelling it. So I was like, all right, I was like, hey, they moved into like where they've got a moving thing now, and I can just do like 60 miles of running or whatever. And she's like, that is what you're doing from now on.
right. That's where you need to be.
Oh, that's funny. So for
That's
those
where
who
I
are
need
just
you.
listening and not watching on the YouTube feed right now, Brock has a very beautiful long beard, and I would also feel a little bit sad to see that disappear. How many months does
It's
it
been
take
shaved.
to come back?
It doesn't take long,
Okay,
honestly.
okay,
Yeah, I've got a lot of German
sure,
barbarian
same.
blood in me that helps.
It's awesome.
I'm just gonna say I haven't shaved my face in 2.5
Okay.
weeks, just so you know, and you can't
Wow.
see
Okay.
anything. I mean, there's literally so you can feel it, and that's
Yeah.
it. So beards, this is someone asks, "Oh, you have a goatee," and I'm like, "Yeah, I've had this for like 5 years." And they're like, "No, you have not." I'm like, "I have. Look at the pictures." I'm like, "Oh
I've
yeah,
had
you do
I've
have
had a
someone."
Right.
I'm
Duck
like,
Dynasty beard before, like literally
Sweet.
down to like the middle of my chest. Like I've
Yeah.
had a very long beard before, so yeah, I can grow it out there.
but we do love that Movember has brought up so many other things in the past couple of years too, but especially this year about other ways to create that
Yeah.
understanding and to build that to boost that
Yeah.
signal. whether it's Move with Movember, which is what I think Brock and I are both going to
Cool.
try to do. It's just creating a moment, which I think is a
Yeah.
delightful little pun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And especially when it comes to things like mental
Hmm.
health, because while testicular cancer and prostate cancer are something that a lot of men are getting more used to talking
Hmm.
about, I think you can talk about your nuts, right? I mean, it says on your website, the nuts and bolts, and I love that.
Yeah.
And you can do it, and men are you kind of used to it because they all agree most of us have those, so we can talk about
Hmm.
those, and we can talk about how to get checked. But then how do you start that conversation about mental health, because that is something that
Yeah.
we all have.
Yeah.
And I love that you're offering that too, both reaching into that realm. The number of men we lose to
Hmm.
suicide is
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
awful. But that you're opening up that too, where it's a venue where we can say, okay, well, we're going to get together. We're just going to get together and hang out. Are we going to talk about mental health? Maybe, maybe
Yeah.
not. But maybe we just need to get together with the men in our lives and just basically say, hey, you good?
Right. Right.
You know, and that starts the conversation. And I love that y'all are supporting that as well, because mental health is a huge part of my life, and really, really, I think my passion,
Awesome. Yeah.
almost as much as fatherhood, if not more.
Awesome.
And that y'all are opening up these ways to talk about
Yeah.
these things is just so
Yeah.
admirable, truly.
Thanks so much. I mean, even our little friendly chat about who grows a bigger beard or whatever is kind of like proof positive of how the original hook of Movember just kind of takes off. Like the I it
Yeah.
started 20 years ago with this group of friends in Australia who gave themselves a little lighthearted challenge to grow a mustache for the month of November to make it a little bit easier to talk about stuff that's kind of awkward to talk about. And it is kind of easy and fun to like poke fun at your buddies for who can, whose mustache is a little bit wispy or whose is looking really bushy and beautiful or whatever. And, if there's the hook behind that, then of like, oh, hey, yeah, and this is for this fun thing called Movember, where, have you had your doctor appointment recently? Like, how are you feeling? Do you know that I'm a person you can really count on if you're having a hard time? Like, I am a person where you
Yes.
can kind of take the mask off. You don't need to pretend like you are crushing it 100% in every domain of your life at all times. And that's
Yeah.
a fun way to make friendships closer. It's just kind of a win-win all around. And it's funny how it works sometimes. Like something as silly as a splashing ice on your head made everybody aware of the ice bucket challenge, and something as silly as a
Yes.
mustache can open up conversations that could literally save lives.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
I love that, like with the mustache and Movember, there are two guys in particular who one who grows a very particularly well grown out mustache, and the other
Yeah.
one who just does it to torture his wife. Uh so
Yeah.
Matt Schneider from City Dads group,
Hmm.
and he's done it for years where he shaves and then like progressively like shows his mustache growing back, which his wife just is completely like not cool with, but he does it all the time anyways, and she understands. And it's so funny to just see what he
Yeah.
does. But to the person who is really good at growing a mustache, and also to just that snively, whiplash kind of looking guy, is
Sure.
Keith Nagel.
Okay,
For
good. Yeah.
the president of the National At Home Dad Network currently. He can grow it, man. And
Sweet.
like he has a lot of fun with it. And that's the thing that, you guys really encourage as well, is to just have fun with it and promote what, donating. And it's kind of a fun competition. We've got this big team of dads, and we're constantly looking for other dads to join this group to be able to grow as much money as we can into the
Yep.
Movember movement. And it's just a fun competition. But at the same time too, I mean, the more guys that get involved, like just the better it is for
Totally.
your organization, and just the whole awareness
Hmm.
of men's mental health and physical health,
Totally.
and those things. Because I think that probably like men's health is something that I feel like really easy to talk about, but I don't know that I want to talk to somebody about my balls, like
Right.
and that's the thing. Like it's like, really, or my
Yeah.
prostate, it's like
Yeah.
those are slightly uncomfortable, but at the same time
Yeah.
too, like I understand the importance of it, and I've been around guys who have gone through that. I think to Sean Diddy, who we've had on the show before, who's a part of the Dad Ass podcast. Like he's been through two bouts of testicular cancer.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
And so he's come on the show and talked a little bit about that. And but just when you get the opportunity to be around guys who can give you those like real life stories, like it's sort of like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, I need to be more, I need to be less of this like, oh, I can't talk about it, and more of this like, I really need to feel comfortable and open about it. And
Yeah.
I think that that is just huge what your organization is doing to make that happen.
Thanks, man. Yeah. And I mean, we're recording this on October 30th. Hopefully, it will publish pretty soon. So that means like we're right at the beginning of the month of November. It's pretty easy. You go to Movember.com, you sign up, and then there's the National At Home Dad Network team you can join that's also collaborating with some of those other
Hmm.
teams, Dad 2.0 and City Dads and stuff that you mentioned. And then it
Fathering
kind of
together. Yep.
automatically puts you into even a little chat thread for the team, and you can be sending pictures back and forth as you grow out the mustache. And I'm psyched because my Mo page is up. I'm part of the National At Home Dads Network team this year, so we'll be fundraising together. And I'm planning to
Yeah.
I
shave
say
just my beard down and keep the mustache. So
no, it's I look at the standings right now. It's you and Dale Van Valera that are at the top of the leaderboard. So
Just want to
just
point
for
out,
now,
not that I'm incredibly competitive, but we don't start until
I
true,
Friday.
hey, I
true.
So
can't. They're
I'm
getting
just
they're
saying we
getting a
can't
running
really
start. I
look at
can't.
the leaderboard, the running start. Tish. No, I did. I signed up this morning. I got my
Nice,
team going and everything, and I'm like, I'm going because I planned anyway to go to the gym today. I'm working on a couch to 5K thing because I want to be able to do a
sweet.
5K. And I'm looking at him going, yeah, yeah, I could do that. I could do 2 miles every single
Sure.
day, or maybe I should do three because there's going to be days when I need to recover. And I'm usually going more like for time.
Yeah,
I do a 20-minute,
yeah,
hit workout. So I'm not paying attention to the mileage. And I'm like, I'm going to be walking a lot.
yeah.
I'm going to be
Totally
walking a lot
fine.
of this, but it's so easy, just to commit a little bit more to it. But I really don't like being behind in the leaderboards.
Okay.
I'm just going to say
Okay.
it's just, I'm like, what?
Oh,
No,
it's
Challenge
gonna
I
be
got to get up there
fun.
accepted.
today. Right? Exactly. I'm like, oh, come on. I can't let Dale beat me.
I have a 500. My target is always to start out at $500. I'm like, all right, let's do this thing. Come on. So, yeah,
Yeah.
You know what
it'll
my
be.
I
cheat
bumped
code
mine to a
is going to be?
thousand.
My cheat code this year, that's kind of fun. And I don't know that I'll necessarily like go log the miles from this on the app, but putting the baby in the baby Bjorn on my chest, she loves being there, but I have to keep walking and keep
Yeah.
moving, otherwise she wakes up. So I
Yeah.
just go down to our basement and like walk laps endlessly, and my average steps on my little step counter has gone up by thousands per day just from the baby Bjorn walks. So
Yes. And you definitely need to count that in my
okay,
opinion, because there's nothing more manly,
yeah,
to use an outdated term that I really don't like using, but truly that's as man as you can
yeah.
get,
Where
you
is
know.
it that, like what part of the country do you live in?
I live in Northern Virginia now, outside of Washington, D.C.
Okay. So you can
Yeah,
still get out and kind of walk around
totally. It's
too and
beautiful
all
fall.
that.
We've
So
got the, peak colors on
yeah,
the trees right now. Yeah, yeah,
definitely. That was one of my favorite things to do when the kids were little, man. Just strap them in and
yeah.
go for a walk. So definitely do
And
that.
honestly,
Yeah.
for me, guys, like when I'm just out in the world and I see, like we went to this fall festival over the weekend, a kind of thing with like a pumpkin patch and little rides and
Heck yeah.
I don't know, kettle corn and apple cider and whatever, and just like the dozens and dozens of dads with baby carriers. That for me is like this
Yeah.
sign, like, okay, our society is tough and fractured and contentious about a lot of stuff, but this is undeniable social change and progress in just how care work is
Hmm.
shared and how dads are embracing this role as an equal caregiver. It's so exciting to
Yeah.
feel like a part of it and to now do it myself also. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like you hear stories from time to time from different people like talking down about dads being active, everything from wearing the baby to taking time off early to go trick or treating with your kids and, all this different stuff. And it's like, I love seeing all that and hate that there are these guys who just can't seem to get their minds out of the
Yeah.
archaic thoughts of the past. And it's like, even back when I was growing up, in the 80s and 90s, like my dad, he loved to take time with and do stuff with us and
Yeah.
would take time off of work to do that. And I don't understand where that full mindset comes from, but it's like also at the same time when I hear these guys say this, I'm like, please tell me that you're not a dad. I feel really awful for your kids. Like
Yeah.
seriously, like if that's the way
Yeah.
you are, like your relationship with your kids must just be atrocious because
I know.
like
Mhm.
you're just not getting it, and that's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
sad. So hopefully
Yeah.
that's not the case, but it is really just annoying to see that there's that one soundbite of that one reporter that talks about how like well when I was younger if I would have said that I was gonna ask off for work early to go trick-or-treating with my kids, like I probably would have got fired. And it's like, well, you know what, this is not back then. And
Yeah.
two,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that wasn't right.
yeah, and
That was
yeah,
wrong.
and two, like, people like companies understand, like families and things like
Hmm.
that. Like, and it's really not even a political position, like on both sides. It's just a worldly thing that it's
Hmm.
important to spend time with your family and with your kids, and there's nothing that should
Mhm.
be considered negative about that. And to find something negative about that is just
Yeah.
mind blowing in so many ways to hear when people say it.
No, just to say, like, you kind of feel for that guy's kids, but you also, if you really want to crank up the compassion, you have to kind of feel for him in a sense,
Right.
because, like,
Yeah.
Oh
he's
yeah.
choosing to miss out on something that would be really beautiful and amazing. Like, what are you defending? Why are you closed off to this thing that all it is increased closeness with your kid? It has all sorts of health benefits for you. Your relationship with your spouse, if you're, together, would improve. Like, we've seen, in all the research I've been involved in and others, like all the benefits that accrue at all these different levels. So what are you holding on to? Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian, I think actually you introduced this book to me, and I'm not positive, but it's of Boys and Men by Dr.
Sure.
Richard
Yeah.
Reeves. I think you were the one that mentioned it, and I picked it up and read it. And it was that really for me an eye-opening thing is to when we're moving away from all these harmful masculine
Hmm.
norms, and I don't want to use
Yeah.
the word toxic and all
Right.
that, but those things that really aren't
Hmm.
healthy and aren't
Hmm.
helpful, and moving to something else
Hmm.
and moving into a generation of people that women don't need you to be the provider,
Right.
right? And it's that, wait, what am I now? And I know I felt that when I became an at-home dad. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't have any value now.
Yeah.
I don't bring any money in. What do I do? And I immediately started, well, I'm going to save money. How I save money, that's how I'm going to be beneficial to
Mm.
my family. And that was so far
Hmm.
removed from the reality of what a father can
Yeah.
do or what a man can do in a
Yeah.
family unit,
Yeah.
and how very, very beneficial, like you
Yeah.
said, not only to my children, but to me.
Right.
I have become a better person in so many ways simply because my children have really demanded
Hmm.
it in a
Hmm.
way. If I'm going to love them, I have to do things
Yeah.
differently, but also shown me, like, just in their actions, reactions. And I'm like, oh, wow. Yeah, I don't want to do
Right.
that. The When my oldest was 18 months old, and I grew up in a family of, well, it was abusive, but we spanked our kids. And the first time I popped him on the leg, and he looked at me, and he actually looked at me and slapped his leg 3 times angrily, like, what do you got, dad?
Oh.
And I've got like, well, I'm like, oh
Yeah.
man, I don't have anything else. I
Yeah.
don't want to do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say I never ever hit my kids, because again, it's my first reaction, and I feel awful that it ever happened. But the reality of it is they changed the entire way that I
Hmm.
spoke to them, how I parented them, what I asked of them, and how I asked it of them, and all of that stuff that I would have lost out
Right.
on if I had stood by those old, more harmful
Yeah.
norms of, no, 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 I need to be this, I need to be the money, and that's
Right.
all. Here's, and like you said, the ATM,
Right.
and to branch out into what an amazing, well, okay, an amazing person that I am now compared to
Yeah.
what I would have been without
Yeah.
doing that. And I love that you brought that up, because there are so many men who don't really recognize how much they're missing out on by stepping into this new definition of masculinity or
Right.
fatherhood.
And it's why,
Yeah.
I mean, even though Movember, that, as an organization I'm affiliated with now, doesn't have a whole stream of work that's specifically called fatherhood or something, it's why the link is so, and the partnership between us and your network and other dads groups is so obvious, because you're describing a journey of like improved mental health, physical health, a sense of self in general. And that's absolutely part of the conversation we're focused on this November, like the
Oh
steps
yeah.
that you can take for yourself to take better care of you. And maybe it was for you or for others out there listening, like the National at Home Dad Network or the Home Dad Con or the Facebook feed or the Discord kind of plays the role of that friend who's your first safe sounding board to open up the way that the Movember campaign is designed to do. So that's why it's really
Yeah.
fun to, connect with you guys in this new role.
Well, even too, like
Yeah.
from the standpoint of like kind of seeing outside of the box with, how mental health and just the whole realm of fatherhood has changed. Like, it's interesting when we get new stay-at-home dads or just dads that come to the convention for Home Dad Con
Hmm.
and they see what's going on and they experience all this stuff, and it's like something inside of their mind gets unlocked and
Yeah.
they just have these aha moments, and it's been really cool to like hear these guys be like, oh man, like I really just have been very much like guarding and just, sort of
Yeah.
putting up these barriers for not doing these things because I thought I was going to get made fun of or I was going to be looked at as
Hmm.
weaker or whatever it is. And it's like, that's not the case at all. Like these guys are like super strong and doing their thing. And at the same time, too, they're able to be vulnerable. And, it's like they can walk both sides of strong and vulnerable at the same time. And like it's a good
Yeah.
thing. And
Yeah.
I've had so many conversations with the dads that come to Home Dad Con or who even just find this group on Facebook, and they're just like, oh, I've been looking for a community like this, or I never even thought this a community even existed. And I think that's even the same way probably with Movember in the fashion of some people are like probably don't realize that, this organization is
Hmm.
out here doing
Hmm.
these things for men
Hmm.
and really just like it says, like changing the face of men's health. And
Right.
it's so important that, we all our groups are continuing to push through and persevere and get the word out.
Totally. Totally.
Hey, I was going to say too,
100%.
you mentioned the book that you were talking about. It just kind of caused a bell to go off on me, but there's a book that I got from a guy named Mark Green who was a part of the Dad 2.0 Summit, and Mark is awesome. I really enjoy. I miss Dad 2.0 because it's like the only time I really ever came into contact with him. Super awesome dad. But he wrote a book a while back with another person that I'm not even going to try to pronounce their name because I will butcher it. But it's a book called The Relational Book for Parenting. So it's raising children to connect, collaborate,
I'm
and
holding it
that
up.
book.
I've
Yeah,
got it
you
right
got it.
here.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got it right here too.
I was
Um,
honestly just gonna talk about Mark. That's so funny. Go
that is
ahead. Go
funny.
ahead.
But no, like it is just such a great book. I think it really just, it's one thing to have the book where it's talking about, dads and
Yeah.
kind of men and that kind of thing. But this book is, I feel like even just more inclusive in
Yeah.
parenthood and in
Yeah.
that conversation. And so uh
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that it got noticed because it's a small book, but it comes with so much information. So, and I love it too because it's not your normal sized book. Like it's it's like this interesting rectangle instead of yeah. So
Yeah. And yeah,
great
very
stuff.
approachable content, bite-sized illustrations and stuff. But you
I'll
were
put a
saying something
link in
about,
the
yeah. No, it's funny that yeah, I was actually in a meeting with Mark maybe a month ago in New York,
oh
and he said something that really stuck
Cool.
with me, that what you were just saying reminded me of it, where he was saying like what we do when we raise guys with a certain kind of like old school restrictive worldview of masculinity is we basically like take out a toolbox for living life, and we take out half of the tools and just throw them away and say like, okay, there you go build your house, build your life, but you've
Yeah.
only got half the tools or whatever. And we don't use
right,
those ones because those are feminine, or those are whatever, that's not the manly thing. And so then you're trying to build a
That's
house,
genius.
but when you need a hammer you don't have it, and when you whatever the metaphor clicks. No, I mean, that was really
Yeah.
insightful. And how does it harm anybody, or how does it make you less of a person to just have more emotional skills, health skills, parenting skills, partnership skills, tools in your toolbox?
right.
So, and parenting
That's
for too
great.
long is one
That is.
where, the guys said, oh, I'm just not going to use those tools. No, come on. That's not for us
Mhm.
anymore.
Just That is an excellent,
right?
excellent. I love that
Mark
quote.
Green,
I
good
love that.
job, buddy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, good job.
It,
And sorry, I'm the only one that doesn't have your book, but I'm going to get it. I swear it's on Kindle Unlimited. I'll get it and then I'll pay for it later. I promise.
well, we could talk forever, I feel like. And
Yeah, Brian, you're
we
awesome. Really.
definitely we definitely could. However, we want to definitely keep things within a time frame.
Sure.
I hope that everybody that's listened to this episode understands, that this coming month is super important for just basically having a big push for men's health. And the team for the National At Home Dad Network is definitely available to join and just to become a part of it. And there's so many different avenues too. Like I know that I've also done like where you actually just throw like a big party and
Yep.
do like a fundraiser. I did that
Yep.
at a brewery actually a few years back, and they did like a pint day, which was really cool. It's kind of neat when you run into a brewery and the brewery owner happens to be a testicular cancer survivor. They get really gung
Yeah.
ho about that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
stuff like that. But um, it's been an awesome conversation. I'm so pumped. There's been this whole thing for years about like, let's get all these different groups together and like really like just power up and do these things. And it's like it's starting to happen where you've got the National At Home Dad Network,
Yep.
Father's Eve, Fathering Together, City Dads, Movember, like coming together to just really reach the masses, and it's super exciting. So thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing with us just what's going on in your life, and then what's also going on with the Movember movement.
It's my pleasure, guys. I've, really admired your organization for a long time. And now that I'm behind the scenes at Movember, I can also say, I can then go in and access like the fundraising over time. And I was kind of curious. I was Googling at home dads, dad 2.0, whatever. And just the track record over years of your groups just organizing, mobilizing guys for the Movember cause has been absolutely amazing. You mentioned Matt Schneider before. Like, I don't know the exact dollar amount, but Matt Schneider has raised a lot of money over many years for our organization. And like, Matt, we see you behind the scenes at Movember, and we're really grateful for you. And I feel like probably there'll even be outreach to you about that coming soon, just to show our appreciation. So thank you for this platform, for partnering with Movember for Home DadCon this year with the shirts and the furniture building activity and everything. And let this be the start of ever more collaboration and conversations together.
Definitely. Well, good luck to you with
Absolutely.
everything, and I look forward to getting to hang out with you at some point. Maybe we'll see you in San Antonio,
Yeah.
something along those lines. But yeah, thanks everybody for listening, and y'all have a good one.
Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.